I'd like to call the City of Fraser Board of Zoning Appeals meeting of January 5th, 2023 to order. Please ask that you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Yeah. Next item on the agenda is roll call. Please note that Member Logan is not here this evening. We will deal with his communication a little bit later on. But there is 6 members present. There is a quorum with which to conduct business. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. And I should note that we're talking about the approval of the corrected agenda that was sent out via email the other day. Is there a motion to be heard regarding that?
Yes. I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Lesage.
Should we add the acceptance of the resignation letter to the agenda as a form?
We can do that under either new business or unfinished business.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to add item 7D, accepting the resignation of Bob Logan from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Were there any other corrections? Mr. Farina?
I'd like to make a motion to postpone the election of officers.
Not now. When we get to it.
Okay. Then I would like to talk about the new city ordinance that's postponed. And then I would like to talk about meeting regularity. And after that, I would like to talk about training. And then I would like to talk about the planning, zoning, and zoning report, and the ZBA and planning bylaws.
All right, you gave me a long list there. Where did you want to,
Each one should be a separate item.
all under new business?
Yes.
So if you would please, one more time. So we've got item D, the resignation letter of Mr. Logan.
E is city ordinance, new city ordinance. Recommendation by the planning commission. E, meeting regularity.
No, we're on F.
Yes, F.
Okay, all right. G, training. H, planning and zoning report.
Don't we have the planning and zoning report as an
I
item?
want to talk about what's in the planning and zoning report, and
Why not do it when it appears on the agenda?
it's not on the agenda.
Okay?
It should, it's one of the things I want to talk about, it being on the agenda, but. And then ZBA, planning and zoning board bylaws.
All right, so we now have a total of 9 items under new business of the board. Does anybody need me to read those back? All right, so we're looking for a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
We have a motion by Lesage, second by Farina, to approve the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 4 on formal statement. Since we have no public hearing items this evening, I will forego reading the formal statement. Next item is old business. Wonder if any of those could have been old business, but you put them in under news business, so we'll deal with them there. I'm not aware of any old business coming before the board at this time. Item 6 is public hearings. I'm not aware of any public hearings that are scheduled for this evening's meeting. So moving on to item 7, new business of the board. Zoning Board of Appeals 2023 meeting calendar. We were provided with our packet this evening, suggested dates for the meetings for the 2023 calendar year. Is there any discussion on those, or is there a motion? I don't know who was
Me.
first. Mr. Farina.
Last night at the Planning Commission, we changed the July 5th planning meeting to the alternate of the 18th because of so many vacations during the first 2 weeks of July. And I was wondering if we wanted to do the same thing, to move it to the alternate.
That was my issue as well. I can't make it on July 6th.
All right, so the alternate date would be July
July
20th.
Is that the third Thursday?
It is.
Okay. Make it happen.
I'm okay with it.
Is there any issue with building access on that date that we're aware of? Okay. You got a fair amount of notice. You got a fair amount of notice.
I sure did.
All right, is there a motion?
I move to change the, accept the calendar, except for the July meeting, which will be changed to the alternate date of July 20th.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Farina, seconded by Menendez to approve the 2023 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting calendar with the adjustment to the July meeting as noted. Is there any discussion on that motion? If there is no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is appointment of zoning board of appeals members to city council for approval. Is the proposed applicant? I'm sorry, you say you did, or? Okay. All right. So we have two, excuse me, get to the right thing. We have two members whose terms, we have three members whose terms have expired on December 31st, two of which have indicated a desire to be reappointed, and we have an applicant that has submitted an application looking for appointment to the board. Obviously, as we're all aware, but not have officially dealt with yet, we're going to actually have a third vacancy on the board. So, is there a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Frank Farina and Mark Bruley for reappointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I would second that motion.
A motion by Menendez, seconded by Lesich to recommend the reappointment of members Burley and Farina to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I would also like to add that that would be for terms ending on December 31st, 2025.
Thank you for your consistency with protocol. Do we want to do anything with Mr. Moore's application?
Can we vote on this and then discuss him?
You can split, yes, you certainly can.
Might be easier.
Okay? Is there any other discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion does carry. Is there a motion forthcoming for Mr. Moore?
Do we want to try and reach him on the phone to see if there's...
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a office number. I
Right,
do not
yeah,
have a
just the
home.
office number.
Okay.
It's unfortunate.
Do you want to approach any of the other items? We can come back to that, if you like. The next item on the agenda is election of officers for the Zoning Board of Appeals. Ms. Menendez.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone that item to the next meeting, whenever that will be. Since we don't have a date certain, right?
May I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
If you're going to postpone it, why don't you postpone it until after City Council deals with the reappointment or appointment for the vacant terms?
Okay.
Let me back up.
I have a question about that.
Well, and I wonder if we did that, is that going to be all the terms, or is that just the perhaps you would want to make a motion to postpone until after City Council deals with the reappointment of members to terms.
So postpone until council reappoints.
Acts on,
Acts on reappointment of vacancies, correct?
correct.
Okay.
All right,
I do have a question. We could-
let me see if we get support for that before we open for discussion, if you don't mind. All right, so we have motion by Menendez, supported by Burley, to postpone action on the election of officers until such time as council acts on the reappointment of members to the board. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Lesich.
Yes, I just want to make sure that it's on the reappointments rather than filling of the vacancy, which could take longer than the two actions that we've,
I understand that.
okay. I just wanted to clarify.
That was the intent that I was trying to get to in suggesting a language for the motion.
Would that be clear enough for our city attorney? Okay. Thank you. And I'm-
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 7D is the acceptance of the resignation letter of member Logan. It was placed on our table this evening, a copy of an email from Mr. Logan, respectfully resigning from the Zoning Board of Appeals as of January 4th of this year. It is my, not that he has to give a reason, but it's my understanding that Mr. Logan has moved out of the city limits of the city of Fraser and therefore no longer qualifies for service on the Zoning Board of Appeals since he is no longer an elector within the city. Therefore, I'd like to make a motion to note and file and accept the resignation of member Logan. Thank you. To accept the resignation letter of member Logan and thank him for his service to the board.
I'll second that.
A motion by the chair, seconded by member Menendez to accept the resignation letter of member Logan. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item as added was the changes to the city ordinance. Mr. Farina?
Right. At the Planning Commission last night, McKenna brought forth an amendment to the zoning ordinance, 32-221. City of Fraser zoning ordinance codified, as I noted, the city code ordinance shall be replaced to read as follows. The zoning board of appeals shall consist of 7 members, each of appointed to a term of 3 years. Appointments for the first member shall be of terms of 1, 2, and 3 years respectively, so as nearly as possible to provide for appointment of equal numbers of members leaving each year. After the initial appointments, each member shall hold office for 3 full years. Okay, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but what it is enacting is that they are going to put on alternate. City council may appoint as many as 2 alternate members to serve on the zoning board of appeals for the same terms as regular members, with initial term for each coinciding with terms of the members who have been on more than 2 years remaining. The alternate members shall be called on a rotating basis to sit as regular members of the board in the absence of regular membership. And the Planning Commission voted on that as a good idea and are recommending to the City Council that that be added. Now, anybody else has any questions about that?
I do have questions, comment. I certainly understand the philosophy and understanding of having alternate members. It does pose some logistical issues that if a public hearing or some item is postponed, the alternate member sat for that public hearing, they then have to come back and finish that, so you might have multiple people that you have to have at a meeting because some members have to be there for a continuation of a postponed or tabled matter. But I can also understand the need and desire to have a full board whenever possible. The second comment that I would have on it is that the language in there regarding the first appointments and staggering the appointments was put in 1992 when City Council stopped sitting as the Zoning Board of Appeals and appointed an independent Zoning Board of Appeals board. It no longer has any application today.
I agree.
So if we are going to be in that section of the ordinance tweaking language, we might want to look at eliminating that language which no longer has any bearing.
Good point. Don?
If I may, I think that's being recommended to be left in as sort of historical in a sense, but also to make it clear to the future readers that all of the terms shall remain staggered. So in other words, if we were to just remove it without amending it in some way, it might confuse future generations in terms of why are the terms staggered? How did this happen? What are the staggerings? What's the scheduling of the staggering? So I think the thinking was leave it in there. It's been there forever. It makes it clear that when we started this, they were staggered, and that shall continue. So that was the thinking.
All right.
I have one other point. It helps in replacement for the ZBA, like now we have someone who's retired from us. And this would give you a pool of people who you could just, you have been dealing with, and have been appointed by the city council, and you could bring them onto the board. But the city council would still have to prove them as a regular member.
I certainly would agree. I guess the only, we sometimes have a tough time finding 7 members, now find 9.
No, I mean, they only come on when we don't have a quorum.
No, but you've got
Right,
to,
yeah.
you've got to have 9 bodies to
Oh,
name
correct.
to do that. Mr. Lessig.
Yes, so this would be, I like the idea of having a full board every time. The alternates could be offered, would be kind of the first in line for potential full positions as members. But, again, the council can do whatever they want. Is that correct, Mr. Denault?
That is correct. The nice thing about the alternate concept is even though we don't have a lot of bodies necessarily wanting to do things full-time, there might be some people that find that very appealing. Like, what a great way to get my feet wet into a board situation where I'm not on call every month, just to see what they think of it and experience it for themselves. So I've worked with this concept now for a couple of years in Sterling Heights. It has been fantastic. It has worked exceptionally well. If City Council approves it, we will have bylaws ready to go that we've already drafted to implement it and make it work logistically in terms of how and when they're called and in what capacities they serve and why and whether they continue on a case that might get postponed. It really has been fantastic and it's really, really reduced or eliminated most of the needs to postpone cases for lack of a full board. It's been really helpful. So that's my 2 cents on why we talked with administration about it and they liked it enough to recommend it to City Council.
May I ask a practical question, Chair?
Certainly.
So in the case, and the chair brought it up, in the case of somebody that was an alternate that sat for a public hearing, and they come back the next month, or is postponed, and there's a decision 2 months down the road, but the person they were an alternate for is now at the meeting, how does that work in practical terms?
So it is a great question that we worked through very carefully in the bylaw amendments that we put together the first time around. The only time under the law or under your bylaws, assuming you approve the way we put it in front of you, the only time that an alternate would continue on a case is if they are serving for a conflict of interest. So if, let's say, Member Logan had a conflict of interest and could not serve on that case, Member Logan might be here that night, would step down, the alternate would step in, handle that case. If it gets postponed, you would handle it the same way logistically. Otherwise, if it's strictly a matter of putting a body in a seat and serving as the alternate, we have language in there that talks about whether or not the regular member feels comfortable having watched the meeting, having reviewed the minutes, feels up to speed and has enough knowledge from what happened at the first time around to be able to sit in on that meeting and take over for the alternate and thank them for their assistance in the absence. So that's the logistical element of it. What we have found, though, is there aren't very many postponements that happen anymore because we'll have a full board if we get 1 or 2 alternates to fill in the empty seats. So
And last part of that question is, so I'm gone, public hearing happens, and there's a delay. I could just say, you know what, the alternate can take my role here and then could I then join the rest of the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it's sort of a fiduciary thing. You know, if you as a member feel comfortable, you know, you feel like you're up to speed, you know the facts.
Right.
You watched what you need to know. And if you don't feel comfortable, there's an honesty factor there too. You know, alternate, you handled this. You asked a lot of great questions. You heard everything. I was out of town. I had a funeral, whatever it may be. I haven't had a chance to catch up. Feel free to finish the case. And maybe an applicant would feel more comfortable with that too. So it just hasn't come up very often in the last couple of years, though. It's been a very nice
But
way of handling it.
thank you. That sounds like an actual working plan. I like that.
Ms. Fernandez?
How does training work for the alternates? Because I know when I came on, I forgot who came on when I did, but we had to go through the Michigan Municipal League, do the class. We couldn't even get seated or sworn in until we finished that class to bring us up to speed on essentially what you have in this, you know, booklet that you did in 2019. So my question is we pick alternates, where is there training on anything between from when City Hall appoints them and they fill in at some time? Like,
It's a good question. We'd have to talk to the city manager about. I don't know, Mr. Lessig, did you have to go through any sort of class before they let you take the new seat that you have now?
No, not through the city. I did take Citizen Planner through
Okay.
MSU Extension, but that's the extent of my education. I would like more.
Sure. The best I can recall is I think the city either budgets for it or would, you know, pay for the MML class for the membership. I don't think it's mandatory that it be done beforehand. They can learn as they go. Members learn as they go all the time. But it is valuable to go through that for sure. And it'd be valuable for us to do another one at the city level. I think, Frank, you said it was 2019 or 18, that
2019.
the last time we did a joint training for both bodies. So always very valuable, especially when we have somebody new from the planning department too, just to kind of get a feel for all of you and get to know everybody better, work through scenarios. And so there's a lot of different ways we can handle it. We'll give them a binder, of course, that they can study and learn, and they can watch old meetings and kind of get a sense of how it works. So.
We did that with, Cindy copied my binder that you originally did and gave Mike one, and then
Great.
kept one for herself. So
Thank
he
you.
has one.
Fantastic. Excellent.
All right.
Okay.
Are you looking for or you propose to make a motion to recommend any action by council, or were you just providing a report on the activity?
The action is city planning's action to make
Correct.
make the recommendation to council. That's been done. I just wanted to make sure that
All right.
you didn't hear about it outside. Okay.
All right. Next item that you added was regarding meeting frequency.
Yes. I don't know about the rest of you, but I find it very hard when we meet once every 6 months to maintain interest in what's going on. I would like to recommend that if we have nothing going on, that we have a quarterly meeting where we could do training or within our board. And to save the city, Don, you'll have to read in on this. I don't know that we would need a lawyer here for training unless you want to be part of that training, but that would be my recommendation, that we go to some kind of frequency so that, we can feel in touch with the ordinances and what's going on in the city. So I thought I'd bring that up for discussion and feel you guys out about it.
The only, number of things, but one of the things that you have to consider is costs. Typically, when we are seated at a meeting and we receive, the board receives compensation for the meeting, as well as the staff that is here. Those are paid for by fees that are submitted for applications for variance. And that if we just choose to meet for training purposes, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing by any means, that there is no income generated from that meeting, and so all those costs would have to be absorbed by the city to do that. So we have to make sure that we.
I draw this by, this was done at the planning commission because the last planner felt it was important, and we hadn't had a meeting, and he called a quarterly meeting. And he was supposed to bring that up, but he got transferred out. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because I know you're not aware of it.
Yep.
Well, by the bylaws, the chair can call a meeting at any time. So the chair has that right to call a meeting, or a majority of the members, I believe is the way the bylaws read. So you could do that we could do that for the purposes of training, even if we have no agenda items with regard to public hearings.
And at that point, would we need to have it broadcast? Would we need to have Cindy here? I mean.
Open
this is-
Meetings Act would say yes.
And I suppose, Mr. Chairman, my question, my mind is racing on terms of what you want this to look like, right? If it's, the word meeting has meaning legally under the Open Meetings Act, would it not be a meeting? Would it be a workshop? Would it be a training session? Would it be information gathering? Would it be learning? If it's not a true meeting of the board, maybe you wouldn't get your stipend or whatever the ordinance calls for in terms of a meeting. But maybe the costs are all gone if you don't have the staff or anybody here, and there's no broadcast, and there's no cost to have you here, and you just learn with each other and from each other as a work session. That's perfectly legal in the Open Meetings Act, as long as you're not deliberating on decisions that the
Right,
zoning board
we
would make.
put no regular business items on
Correct,
the
for-
agenda.
Absolutely, and make no decisions about anything going forward. It would strictly be a learning opportunity, like going to a seminar. So
Correct.
there are a number of ways you can call it a meeting or not a meeting, and play around with the concepts, for sure.
And still be legal in your
And
end.
still be in compliance with the law, yes.
Yes. Mr. Lessig?
Yes, along with that idea, I like the idea of at least a quarterly meeting. Then I can know that there's going to be a meeting in March no matter what, and that some kind of action, training, whatever, that could the chair then determine if that quarterly meeting is a workshop or whatever at the time that the chair, Mr. Stimick, has the ability to call a meeting?
Yeah, the only, if I understand Mr. Farina's comment, is that to have some activity, whether it be training or workshop or so forth, if there is no regularly scheduled meetings. So it would not necessarily be that it's going to be March, July, September, and, January, but rather, if we have no items submitted for 6 months, or 5 months, or 4 months, or whatever, that we, excuse me, meet in some fashion, such that there's the ability to network together and find out what's going on and get updates from staff on what may be coming down the line and what activities there are, rather than go, and quite honestly, 6 months without approving agenda. Well, we couldn't approve minutes because that would be an official action, and so then we would have to have a meeting. But anyway, but
However you slice it, it could happen.
yeah, so I don't believe that Mr. Farina is suggesting specific dates that those occur, but rather if there is a long period of time where,
If there's nothing up for the meeting in March, we would then have
yeah,
and then
but if you have
if
a
there's something
meeting,
then up in April, we have a regular meeting in April.
right, but if you have a meeting in February and you believe you're going to have a meeting in April, do you hold a special meeting in March? Do you hold a training workshop in March?
No.
That's
'Cause that would be-
logistics,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. Mr. Farina, are you suggesting or proposing any action item for us this evening on that?
Well, if we feel we have enough information, sure.
I guess what I might like to suggest
Okay.
is potentially speak with the city administration,
Okay.
find out the timetable potentially of new members to the board, and schedule or arrange a training workshop, either through the attorney, through the planner, through the administration, and set that up to, I think your next item was training, so we'll merge those two, and to use that as one of your suggested additional meetings or timely meetings throughout the year.
That's fine. Fine with you, Sid? Fine with you? Fine with you?
Yep.
Okay.
Somebody has to agree to do the training. We have to find the date and the time to do that. If we are in fact going to do that as a joint meeting with planning and the zoning board, we have to find a
That's-
acceptable
That's the next,
communal date.
that's the next one.
Okay. Is there any other discussion regarding meeting frequency?
I like it.
That's said and done. Next item is training. Mr. Farina, I guess a continuation of the discussion we just had.
Last night at the Planning Commission, I asked that McKenna and our city attorney, Denault, put together a training package for a joint meeting of the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board for December. At our December meeting, we have a joint meeting where we would get to learn and see from, you would see from the planning department's perspective. They would see from the zoning's perspective what we're doing, where we're going, and how their decision affects you and how your decision affects them. I heard no problem with that. And I've talked with Don and tonight, and he did not commit to it, but he didn't seem to have a problem with it, so that was my thought on the training, the formalized training. This other thing was a matter to keep our hands in the pot. I always find if I keep my fingers on the pulse, that if I'm making evolutionary things, it's easier than making revolutionary things going forward. So that's part of my philosophy anyway. So this one is, this particular item would be a thing at the end of the year where both boards would come together and enjoy one another's company and learn from it. So again, I'm seeking what you guys want to do.
Yeah. Mr. Burley?
Is there a reason you picked December, or December was picked?
That's the reason we had, that's the time we had it the last time,
Okay.
was December.
It's traditionally a busy time for people with the holidays and Christmas and Thanksgiving, so.
Yeah. I just wanted to, I know we have a new planner. I wanted to give him enough time. I brought him a bunch of materials tonight to look at from that. And, you're right, it could be any time. It could be the November meeting. But, I mean, was trying to give him lead time to where we need to go.
So if I understand, you're basically talking about a one-time event in December of 2023,
Yes.
Or an annual event.
or an annual event?
Personally, I'd like to see it annualized, you know?
And I guess my point, and possibly to Mr. Burley's comment, and I can understand that bringing people up to speed and dropping it on them, say, hey, next week we'd like trading, gets certainly tough. And that doing it in December certainly gives them time to prepare for it. But as a practical, useful matter, especially when all those boards' terms expire in December, that doing so at the beginning of the year might be more helpful and can be used both as a networking between the two boards as well as training topics for new members. It might be more appropriate to do that in spring. That way, if you do have a new member that's appointed in January, that if the training occurs in February or March, or that joint meeting occurs in February and March, you get time to onboard that new member. Once again, doing it, asking you to try and do it in, February 1st of this year is too tight.
I have two thoughts on that. One is spring becomes building time becomes permit time becomes, ZBA time, site plan time, all of those, it would interfere. Secondly, is that there are always going to be people leaving the boards, and that's just a matter of life. We saw that tonight. Nobody ever expected, that he would leave. But, so, those are my two thoughts on that.
Sure, thank you. Any other discussion? So if I understand your item, it has been suggested that,
Well, I'm suggesting to our two subcontractors, if you will, consultants, that they work on that because they're doing it for free. And,
you guys know that?
well, they did it last time for free anyway. You get paid for your time at them, but they don't get charged us for it. That's the way it worked the last time, So, those are my thoughts.
Right. Ms. Menendez?
Just a quick question. Since you were instrumental in producing this binder, Don, is there any way we could get an update? I mean, to check if, I know there's been things that have changed, maybe ordinances or whatever, and just whomever can flip through and if we have any updates that we can include in here.
I think that's a great idea, especially with
Or
new,
I mean, we could use this as the same, update it, and if you, the next training seminar, use the same book updated.
obviously, if we did hold a new training session between the boards, that's when we would do it, but we can certainly get to it sooner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all.
All right, any other discussion on that item on training?
So could you take that back, Don takes it to Don, but can you take that back to your management and say, this is what they'd like? Can we do it?
Yeah, let's talk to administration and city council. It's not about, my firm or his firm. It's really just about what the city feels works. The December thing is tricky. There's probably less meeting nights available to even schedule it. But we could find a month that makes sense.
Our meetings are at the first of the month, so
Right.
schedule, gets busy.
Gets busy after that, for sure. And if I think last year, for example, your meeting fell on a late Thursday. It was like the 7th or 8th because, 6th or 7th, because we didn't have one on the 1st or 2nd of the month. And, by the time you get into that second week of December, a lot of holiday events are happening, so it can
Yep.
get tricky.
Yep.
But in my experience, the trainings, I know the one we did here I think it was late in the year. I've done others sort of in the spring. I know you understand, that is a busier time with building and projects, but for some reason, in my mind, fall makes sense. It's almost like going back to school, right?
Yeah,
We're all
September,
of
after
that
vacation.
mindset of school is back, right? So it kind of makes sense to maybe do it in September, October, but
Fine with-
Vacation.
Fine with me?
let's bounce it around. We'll bounce it around for you and see what works for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion on that item? Moving on to item 7H, monthly activity report. Ms. Farina, you asked to,
7H. That was a planning and zoning report.
No, H was the planning and zoning report,
okay, well, I call it the activity report. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
whatever he called it. That's what.
I was looking at the report, and Don, there's some things there that need to be tracked on the legal side that I think need to be put into this report. Like, when we want parking agreements, put in, like the one on Klein and the one for Hockey Land. I still don't know. We heard it was up, almost ready for approval, but I don't see any action that it's ever been approved. And I think those are important things to track, and if you could get with the city administration, whoever does that report, and have inputs on your stuff in there so that it doesn't get dropped. Because I recall there was another thing with the item on, place on 13 Mile in Groesbeck where it required legal action of some sort, and everybody missed it. It just kind of fell on the floor, so.
The church, was that the church you're referring to?
I thought it was the music center.
The best thing I can tell you in response, I'd be happy to work with the planners when they prepare that, if they want to send it over to us, and we can add comments to it. But best thing I can tell you in response is the planning department and building department are fantastic at making sure conditions are met. So we are always monitoring and pestering and staying on the attorneys or the representatives for, say, the Fraser Hockey Land development. And I see those emails, almost weekly or every other week, because they aren't forgiven or forgotten. Trust me, we're making sure those get done because they have to get their occupancy permits and they have to get everything they need from the
Well,
city.
we get questions, I get questions
Sure, yeah.
about it, and I'd like to be able to answer.
To give a status report,
Right.
absolutely. Yep.
Because I remember the one on Taco Bell, hey, kiddo, Taco Bell, where they were supposed to put up a barrier, and that got dropped out. They got an occupancy report, without the barrier ever being put up. So we fought about that for a year after that to get it fixed. Okay.
All right, any other discussion on that item?
No.
All right. Last item under new business is Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals bylaws.
I have a set of bylaws. I don't know whether everybody else has a set of bylaws. With new people coming, I think you have a set now, don't you, Mike?
I do not have.
Yes,
Is there one in here?
it was part of Mr. Denault's training binder that he gave to everybody in 2015. So we all should have it here, and
I'll look.
Mr. Lessig has one as well.
Well, and I guess also maybe there was a series of amendments that were proposed in 2019 that,
That's what we're talking about. What was adopted in 2019 is the latest.
okay, because I just have the cap strike version of that. I do not have to my knowledge, a hard printed copy of what it looks like completed, which is the way we should.
Well, then maybe.
Get it.
Maybe we need to get a copy.
Yeah, the amended version was amended November 7th of 2019, and it is a clean version that should be in everybody's training binder, but maybe it didn't get circulated to everybody properly.
What is the name of the document?
The Zoning Board of Appeals Rules of Procedure.
Okay. I have a zoning board of appeals handbook.
No, there's,
Within there should be a tab.
near the end, the second from last zoning board of appeals bylaws.
Okay, well, bottom line, we should probably get all the members
There it is.
currently
I got it.
seated should get a copy of the
We should look
Final
at,
version.
we should look at them and see if they're still the way we want to operate.
Well, and keep in mind, Mr. Farina, if the city council approves the alternates amendment, then we will be bringing to you amendments that make sense in the rules of procedure to implement that amendment, or that new protocol. So at that point, when we bring you those amendments, it's a great opportunity for all of you to weigh in on other things you might
Exactly.
think should be changed.
Okay.
That could happen as early as the next meeting, depending on timing.
Okay. Well, that would be good. Then get a copy so that we can mark it up and give it back. Can I
All right.
request that of administration?
Just to circulate clean copies to everybody.
all right.
Thank you.
Anything else on that item? All right, moving on. Item 8, unfinished business of the board. I'm not aware of any unfinished items that are before us this evening. Next item is Planning Commission Liaison Member Report. Mr. Farina.
Last night at the Planning Commission, we went over this, this ordinance change that we talked about, and then we elected new officers, and Kathy is out there, and she is the new chairman of the zoning board, and then Mr. Planning, I'm sorry.
Welcome. You moved.
And then Mr. Perry is the vice chairman of the Planning Commission, and Mr. Kyle is the secretary of the Planning Commission now. So that was the extent of what we had at that meeting. And there are no items that I know of up for the next month either for the Planning Commission.
I saw that there was one kind of referral to that in the planning and zoning report.
In the report, yeah.
That there might be something that's coming to the January meeting, possibly February meeting. But, all right. Any questions regarding the planning commission liaison report? Hearing none. Next item on the agenda is public participation. You sure? Give you an opportunity.
I would have one suggestion. Kathy Zardecki, 31827 Pam Court. I'm not sure I heard everything that was discussed tonight about the bylaws, but the amendment that we asked City Council, that we're going to forward to City Council. Within the Planning Commission bylaws, there is a a statement saying that one member can be outside of the city, and I don't know if Mr. Farina mentioned that. I didn't hear the conversation, but I'm wondering if we could do that for the zoning board of appeals.
No,
We cannot by law.
that's what I asked
Okay.
the lawyer last night, and she read it out that you have to be a member of the electorate to be on.
Okay.
Zoning Enabling
To
Act.
change the bylaw.
The Zoning Enabling Act actually says in Michigan that you must be an elector of the community that you're serving on for the zoning board.
Okay.
Planning commissions are different.
Okay, all right, thank you. That would be my only comment. But I hear that you're leaving, so I just wanted to wish you good luck, I guess.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the November 3rd meeting. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from November 3rd, 2022 as submitted.
A second.
A motion by Menendez, seconded by Farina, to approve the minutes from the November 3rd meeting. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is members' comments and items of interest.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, before that, didn't we have two absent at that meeting? Would those would be abstaining from voting on the minutes, correct?
Yes.
I think Mr. Burley, Mr. Farina are listed as absent. If that's accurate, then they should be listed as abstentions in the vote, please.
So then you can't second the motion.
I can't second.
That's true.
All right, so we need to redo the motion.
All right, so we still have a motion by Menendez to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I will second the motion.
We have a motion and second by Lesich. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I have a question for the attorney. Is that unique to the ZBA that members can't vote on the minutes if they were not present?
No, that's a parliamentary procedure thing that I've subscribed to forever under Roberts, I believe. If you're absent, you can't vote on what happened because you weren't there to see it. I try to catch it on council. I try to catch it.
I've never heard that,
I try to catch it on council, planning, wherever I'm at. I try to catch it. I don't
Okay,
always, but I
thank you.
try.
Well, I understand the reason for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure.
With TV, it's a little different now, but I just wondered.
It is different
Okay,
now, yeah.
that's all.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the minutes for November 3rd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes on a 4-0 vote with 2 abstentions. Thank you. Next on the agenda is members' comments and items of interest. Mr. Burley.
Yeah, I just got a question, and I don't know if the city clerk can answer this. Do you know when it's uploaded, the video for the previous meeting? Because I looked, I was obviously vacant in November. It's still not online or uploaded, so I couldn't watch it. The December, yeah, it wasn't on. The one yeah, November is on, December's not. I was just wondering, because I wanted to watch it, because I wasn't here.
December zoning board? I didn't think there was a meeting.
There
That's why
there
there's no
wasn't a
minutes.
December zoning
Was it
board.
November?
There are no minutes.
There was a November,
Frank and I were both vacant in December.
November.
November.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, it was December's meeting.
Everybody was vacant because there was no December meeting.
There was no meeting.
According to the minutes from the November 3rd meeting that were just approved,
Okay, so it was a November meeting.
yes.
Correct.
Well, I was in that video, so I know that was it, so, but I wasn't there. I thought it was because I was in Mexico. Okay,
In November?
New Jersey.
in December.
So according to the minutes, absent were Burley and Farina.
Oh, that was when I had COVID.
Okay.
But, okay, so November's not on there.
November's not on here.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see
Okay,
it.
sorry. I thought it was my Mexico vacation, but it was COVID.
Oh, you're just on vacation.
Thought you were having more fun, right?
Had an interesting couple of months.
Yeah.
Was one the result of the other? Oh, never mind.
Oh, in addition to that, though, when I was looking that up, it actually has Mr. Lessich's term expiring in the 23. I think that's wrong.
I don't.
Are you filling a vacancy, Mr. Lessig, that ends in 23? Is that why?
That's a term said expires 12/31/23 online.
Was that Mr. Hunt's? That was Mr.
Might be a
Yes,
term that
yes.
that only had
Yes,
a
I
year.
Yeah, that
I
was-
am filling a
he
partial
was-
term.
He was fulfilling the end of Mr. Hunt's term, which does expire in 23.
Good eye.
Okay. All right. Other comments, items of interest?
Who's next?
Who's next?
I have something.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lessig.
I would like to say thank you for your service to our city. And how do I put this? I'm kind of a nerd about this stuff. And watching and reading watching ZBA meetings and how they've been conducted and the professional manner they've always been done, agendas. You've always had your ducks in a row, and it's a beacon of hope for public meetings as far as I'm concerned. And so I thank you for your service. I know I had a few emails about this agenda. I happen to have read every agenda in the city for the last 30 years. And I think good agendas make good meetings, and they help keep things on track, and they help keep people focused, and you've done a great job with that in your service to the city, and this board, and the planning commission, too. So thank you very much for your service, and let's keep that record going in your absence. We'll try to carry on. You have big shoes you're leaving behind, and I have small feet, so I'll have to work on learning more. So thank you.
I second that.
Anybody else?
But you will still be with us until those vacancies are filled, correct?
Not necessarily, but we'll see.
That was really my question.
I'm just looking for you to commit.
You can hold over.
I read that in the bylaws,
So are we going to
If
wait
we-
in anticipation to see? Is it going to be a wait and see?
but if we don't have a meeting in February because there's no items on there, council will act between now and then, and my term will be filled. Unless they're going to reappoint me to serve his unfinished term.
There you go, that's an option. Or,
If that's, are you open to that?
I didn't say
You
that.
got it.
Are you open to that?
I did not say that.
Right, we don't have to fill Mr. Steinmack's spot. It could be Mr. Logan's spot now. So the city
Correct.
council doesn't, they can keep you as a holdover for quite a while.
Remember, it says may
May.
continue to serve.
Hey.
You're not an inventor.
Don't push that.
I want to take a minute to, I've been with Mark since 1999. He exemplifies a great volunteer. His professionalism has been noted not only by us, but we used to have people from other cities come in and watch the way Mark ran the meetings to learn from the way he did. And one meeting in particular, it ran till 2:30 in the morning, was the crematorium, where we were packed in here, and he led that meeting like a gladiator, chopping through all of the nonsense and getting to the meat of the matter and making sure that there was a meaningful and just resolution to that. I have enjoyed immensely working for Mark. Well, you're the chairman. I work for the chairman.
With,
All right, but he is, I don't know whether you all know, but Mark likes to go to Vegas, as I do. And he also, as I did, played a large part in the Boy Scouts of America, donating his time there and helping to bring youth and get them involved. He's a great individual, and I want to thank him. So.
thank you. Anybody else?
a great teacher. A great teacher when I came on board. The wealth of knowledge in this man's head is astounding. From the technical aspect of the ordinances to his ability to, if The only way Mark wouldn't know that something happened, the only way, he wasn't here that day. There was an incident that came up, and everybody was trying to, he goes, I don't recall. It was because he wasn't here. If he could recall it, I mean, if he didn't recall it, it wasn't because he was here. His knowledge, when something comes before us and people are struggling with the applicant, his ability to be able to find compromise, to be able to work with them. I have the utmost admiration. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to work and learn from him, and he's going to be a hard act to follow. And his wealth of knowledge is still unprecedented. I don't know how we can extrapolate that from him. But thank you, Mark, for everything,
But
really.
we will call you. We're not afraid to
Sure.
call. I have your home phone number.
Don't call the home number, we never answer that one. All right, anything else?
You are consulting now out in where?
Lots of places. But
You have a major project going, don't you?
got lots of major projects going,
Okay.
but anyway. So if I can take a couple of minutes. I was appointed to this board back in May of 1992. And at that time, it was known as the Independent Board of Zoning Appeals, and that was because prior to that date, City Council, as permitted by statute, sat as the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I was actually the chair of the Planning Commission at the time and appeared before City Council when we put forth the text amendment to create a separate Zoning Board of Appeals. Since that time, I've served, and we all serve at the will or the pleasure of the mayor and council. I've served for 8 mayors over that time. I can't even fathom a number of how many council members that served in that 30-plus years. But the one thing that was great about it is that even when, in effect, we took over a duty of council, they let us be independent. Our decisions were never questioned, or there was never any aspect of undue influence from members of the council or the mayor in the decisions that we reached. We were allowed to do so on our own. And that's a important aspect. I'd also like to recognize the support that we've gotten from staff, whether that be the employees of the city in the preparation of agendas and support, as well as the consultants and the city attorney who have provided us guidance to try and keep us on the right path. I'd also like to recognize and thank the fellow members of the board. And I tried to come up with the number, how many that was over the years, but was unable to do so. But I'm sure it's 60 or more members that I've served with over the years. The time, the research that you do in performing your duties, and the fact that your main point of interest is always the public good is very commendable. And lastly, I want to thank my family who allowed me to steal away on Thursday nights over the years to come here and do this, and allow me the storage space at my house for unlimited supplies of self-addressed manila envelopes, paper clips, and scrap paper. So I shall never run out of any of those things. But I appreciate the given the opportunity to serve the community and hopefully have done a reasonable job of it for the last 30 years. And thank everyone for that, your thoughts and your comments. And with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.
Congratulations.
If anybody doesn't know, we're going to go out for a drink. It's got a bike rack. It has a bike rack.
Go ahead.
Right, that's what I heard.
Okay.
Yes, they did.
Come on.